welcome to Scorched Earth and a reading for the sign of Scorpio, Sun, Moon or Ascendant. If you don't know what your Moon or Ascendant signs are, have a look in the description box below. There's a link down there that will help you find your birth chart for free. And then you should come back and watch the videos for your Moon and Ascendant signs, because it can give you a better idea of what's going on with you overall than you might get from just your Sun sign. Got a couple of things to say. First off, thank you to those people who have inquired after my well-being, because these videos are late and I'm aware of that. Thank you for waiting, I appreciate it. And thank you for your kind inquiries. I am fine, certainly nothing I'm going to whinge about on the channel. But I am just one woman. I have a fairly punishing personal reading schedule, and I am a single parent with 5 children, so like my time is stretched pretty thin, and you know that this is my priority. Well, it's not my priority over my children, obviously, but every second of my day is filled with something to do with this, and sometimes my life is like a constant stream of rearranging priorities. So I'm sorry that you're late on this occasion. I'll try not to let it happen again. Thank you also to the lovely, wonderful souls that have come and joined me on Patreon. Like I said, what I do is really important to me, and to have people looking to support me in a long-term way is it's actually quite humbling. It shows me that there are other people out there who value what I do as much as I value what I do. So thank you to you. You are my eternal gratitude. The other thing is, Tuesday next week it marks the 1-year anniversary of the channel, believe it or not. I can barely believe it's been a year, but it has. So I'm going to be running a live stream. Not on the Tuesday, because that's a shit time for a party. We're going to do it on the Sunday instead, which is the 5th of July. I think it's already scheduled. It is already scheduled, yeah, for 7 p.m. That's GMT +1. So obviously it's going to be early afternoon if you're in the States or Canada or whatever. So if you fancy joining me over here, we're just going to have a little celebration, because it's been quite a journey. A lot's changed in the last year, and I kind of want to celebrate it. So I can't think of anybody else I'd rather celebrate with than you lovely people, since you are primarily the reason that I'm here in the first place. I'm going to do some card readings. I'm going to limit it to like 1 question, 1 card, just so we can get through as many people as possible. I'll do a giveaway. I've got a book or 2 in mind, competition, and I think I might give away a free reading as well, just for the crack. So if you fancy that, come and join me. I would love to have you. Move this out of the way. So with all of that said, one more shuffles. Let's see what is going on with you, Scorpio, at the moment. I've got it really heavily in my mind that there's a lot of cross watchers for this particular reading. I don't know why. I almost said in the beginning, or if you're cross watching for a Scorpio, Sun, Moon or Ascendant, I see you. I know you're here, and that's okay. So let's see what's going on with Scorpio then. 3 cards for Scorpio, please. Oh, that's the first one. Got the Knight of Cups in the recent past. I like that for you, Scorpio. And 2 more cards for Scorpio, please. What's going on with Scorpio right now? We've got 2 cards, and they are Page of Pentacles and the 7 of Cups. There's a bit of indecision with you at the moment, Scorpio. Oh, I've got an itchy palm of my hand. What does that mean? Oh. And what's coming towards Scorpio, please, for the month of July? What's coming towards Scorpio? Got the 9 of Wands. Right, at the bottom of the deck, we've got the card of Sagittarius. We've got Temperance. This talks about balance. We've got Judgment underneath there. And the Lovers. And the Hermit. Right, so although we've got no major arcana on the table, things are shifting for you, Scorpio, in a way that you can't yet perceive. Maybe, oh my God, it might be that you have a sense of things shifting, and what's causing some frustration for you at the moment is the fact that you can't actually see it happening, but you can feel it happening, right? You are one of the most intuitive signs in the zodiac. But anywho, the Temperance card is about balancing yourself out. It's having a bit of patience. It is also a card of divine timing and divine orchestration, right? Shit is moving around you, whether you realise it or not at the moment. We've got the Judgment card, and we are in Mercury retrograde at the moment, and will be till about mid-July, late July, before we come out of the shadow of it. So this is about things past, certainly. But then we've got a card here that talks about a choice. More than that for me, it talks about conscious co-creation. And then we've got the Hermit, right? A bit of introspection required. Now, we'll tie all of that in at some point. But it's interesting to see that there's so much major arcana underpinning what it is that you're experiencing at the moment. We'll get some clarifiers. Yeah, we're just going to use this stuff. Hello, Scorpio. The standard right away to clarify and see what's going on here. So, about the Knight of Cups. Oh, that's the first one. Got the Seven of Wands. Really. And the Empress. I like that. Yeah, okay. For your current energy, a Page of Pentacles and the Seven of Cups. We have the Five of Swords. Kind of fell out like this, which is interesting. So I'm going to put it that way round. It's kind of rather, it's neither neutral nor positive in that position. The second card is the Ace of Wands. And what about the Nine of Wands? Chariot. And Temperance again. Right, this is very interesting. At the bottom of the deck we've got the Knight of Wands. Now I always used to associate this with Sagittarius, and it is indeed a Sagittarius card, but there is some sort of scorpionic connection to the Knight of Wands. What it is at the moment completely eludes me, but there is. So that's there. Now sometimes that can talk about being the fuckboy card, but I don't feel like it is for you. It's a card of living in the moment, actually, is what it is. And it's followed swiftly by the Six of Wands, which is a card of Leo, but it talks about victory, right? It talks about winning and feeling like you're winning, right? It feels like it talks about things feeling good, is what it talks about. So, now those are all out on the table, let's pull this apart and have a little look at it. The first card that you've got in your recent past is the Knight of Cups. Now, I don't always like this card very much because I do think it's a bit of a triumph of style over substance, right? We've got the knight kind of coming in his shining armour on his white horse with this cup, and it's kind of like, you know, I mean, well, look at the horse. The horse is decked with flowers and stuff like that. And it's like, it's an emotional approach of some description. Now, whether this is yours or whether this is someone else's, it's hard to say, but it actually feels a little bit like you are kind of, yeah, because we've got this moon and you can't actually even really see it that well. But just in the corner there is the moon. It seems like you've been doing a little bit of digging around inside yourself. And you've discovered some feelings. Feelings, TM. We don't like those. But it does kind of feel broadly positive for you, Scorpio, because the Knight of Cups is quite a light card, you know, as a sign that feels things really, really deeply. Sometimes Scorpio isn't really happy unless it's really deep and intense, but this is quite a light energy. It's like you've done a bit of filtering around in the stuff that's going on in you. It looks like you've kind of discovered some feelings for someone, I think, and it could well be that it's mutual, because I'm not getting a strong sense either way of it coming from either just you or either just them. Thing is, Scorpio, the first card that comes out to clarify is the Seven of Wands. Now, this is not the worst card that could have come out to clarify it. I could think of several others that I would associate very much with a scorpionic reaction to feelings. But it's not something that I'm surprised to see, because this is a defensive, guarded energy. Like, sometimes it can be quite protective, but in your case, it's kind of like shit. Feelings. I'm not sure how I feel about this. Is this a level of vulnerability that I am comfortable with? And the answer is probably not, because you're a Scorpio, and vulnerability and Scorpio is an uneasy pairing. You look actually slightly stricken by it in this card, right? But at the same time, the pull is there. Like, you're being dragged in a particular direction. And I would bring you back to the fact that the Temperance card is at the bottom of the deck. It feels like you've been doing a bit of inner work, right? And you've done some filling of your own cup, and in the process, what you've done is kind of changed the vibration that you've been, resonating at, and it's pulling others towards you, right? But equally feeling pulled towards other people, if that makes sense, right? But kind of stricken about it. I'm going to pull another card for that in a second, but we're going to look at the Empress. Now, the Empress for me, she's a card of Taurus for me, but she also represents Libra because of this Venusian connection down here, right? She's the Queen of Queens, but she's in charge of abundance and fertility and all that kind of thing. And I think you're just kind of pig sick of where you have been for the last wee while. And for you, I feel like it's almost certainly intensified over the last 6 months, but this has been a kind of low-level feeling that you've had for a while now. It's like you're ready for a change. You're ready to start something new. Right? There's this overwhelming, creeping feeling that something new needs to happen, but it's almost like you're not entirely sure how to action it in some way, because you take so many steps and then your kind of internal defense mechanism kicks in, and you're like, shit, is this vulnerability? Is this what I'm comfortable with? Is this person worth it? Right? Why are my feelings all light and fluffy when actually I'm I like to feel intense about stuff? It's like there's a kind of swirling mass of emotions going on with you at the moment. I'll pull another card for this Seven of Wands, because I'm intrigued by it. I mean, I can see why it's there. I can absolutely see why it's there. But what I'm not seeing is self-sabotage, and that's something that you struggle with a lot, right? It's not indicating self-sabotage, so this is a step forward for you. Where is 7 of Wands? Got loads of cards upside down. The whole fucking deck's upside down, right? Okay. In which case, that is that way around, and that is that way around. And what's come out for the Seven of Wands is the Three of Cups in reverse and the Six of Swords. And this is intriguing, and I can see this going in a couple of different ways. The Three of Cups could talk to, how can we put it euphemistically, a certain energy scattering. Right? Spreading yourself a little bit thin around a few too many people, right? That's possible. And so then the Six of Swords indicates a kind of moving away from that, which would suggest that this is something that you're kind of having an issue with at the moment, right? Like, where is this coming from? Why do I feel like this? This is different, to how I felt before. No, and in fact, as I'm looking at it, it seems more likely that this is the situation than anything else that I see. It's maturing, because where you've had a choice of lots and lots of people, and even if you didn't feel like you did, Scorpio, you are magnetic, like you could have your pick of anyone. You don't want anyone. It feels like it's one person now is what you've decided you want. Ooh, God, I just got a big pain in my head there. It's narrowing it down, right? But it's kind of broadsided you a little bit. It's not what you anticipated, and you're struggling with it a little bit, and you're struggling to work out how you bring this now into the world, how you benefit from this. Well, you've got this sense of internal conflict inside, you know. We've got the Four of Pentacles here. Now, normally that talks about clinging to something really hard. It talks about a need to release things. But what it is that I feel like you're struggling with here is a combination of letting old patterns go, embracing new ones, and kind of how new this is. How new this is. Because you're willing to give here. Like, you've got your plate hanging out here. You're like, okay, I'm willing to give, but fuck me, like, what is going on, right? This is confusing. Oh, snuffly. Right. So in your current energy, you've got the Page of Pentacles and the Seven of Cups. Now, this is what I was talking about before, and this is kind of where you are at the moment. Like, this new beginning that you want, it's almost so close that you can smell it, right? You're ready for it. You're almost kind of maybe champing at the bit for it a little bit. But it's mitigated somewhat by this Seven of Cups energy, right? And I feel like this is an underlying fear that what it is that you are experiencing or have been experiencing over here, it feels like it might be slightly illusory in nature. It's almost like you're not entirely sure you trust it. You're not entirely sure that you trust it. You're not entirely sure that you trust your own interpretation of events, you know. Maybe this person has not indicated that they reciprocate in some way, and you're kind of like panicking because you're like, shit, like, am I getting myself into something that is going to inevitably end in me getting hurt? You know, that's a possibility. But it's almost like you're not even sure what kind of new beginning that you want. You just got this underlying feeling that something needs to change, and something is in the wings waiting to change, right? Remember how I said you've got all of this major arcana energy kind of swirling around you, and it is changing things. Whether or not you can see those changes yet, you can certainly feel them occurring. Now, interestingly, what came out, I feel like I need to honour the fact that this came out this way round, is the Five of Swords and the Ace of Wands, to clarify the Page of Pentacles and the Seven of Cups. Now, we all know that this way round, this card is really shitty, right? We hate this card because it's about mismatched communication in some way, right? It's talking to somebody who just snipes. It's trying to reason with someone who is committed to misunderstanding you, right? Sometimes it's just kind of learning the really hard way that actually sometimes it's not worth arguing with people over these things, right? Just fucking withdraw and move away. When it's this way around, it's quite a stabilizing effect, because a 5 energy is by definition unstable. I think Aquarian Insight used to call it like the agents of chaos, and it's absolutely what it is. It's a shift, and sometimes an uncomfortable shift. Sometimes it can talk about ghosting people, Scorpio. Sometimes it can talk about getting back in communication with people with whom you'd actually rather not, right? But whatever it is, it's kind of like one person trying to talk here and another person potentially trying to talk down here or up here or over here or back there or something, and not quite being able to get the communication to meet in some way, right? Maybe not communicating at all. This way around is intriguing, and I do feel like it's highly relevant, because this essentially completely neutralizes this card, right? This feels like you don't know which way this card should land. And we're back to the Seven of Cups. It's like you don't know all the things, you actually don't know the contents of somebody else's head. Like, you're highly intuitive. Scorpio know what people are thinking before they fucking realise that they've had a thought, right? It's a thing. But you will then overthink it, and you will, you know, mangle it and do all sorts of things with it, right? When ultimately you should have just trusted it, right? Trusted that. But this feels like you've overthought the situation to the degree now that you have no idea whether it's this way around or this way around, right? None whatsoever. I'm going to pull a clarifier for that because someone fucking needs it, right? But it's this indecision. It's not really knowing which way to go. It's not like, it feels a little bit like you don't really feel like you have anywhere to go with it, to be honest. That is Five of Swords. clear, please. Just one card. Tell me about the purpose. I'm going to get one card out of here if it kills me. It could be that you're not talking to this person, or that they're not talking to you. Or it could be that you're talking, but you're not talking about the same things, right? It could be that you're talking about things, the same thing, but on entirely different levels, right? And it seems like that the communication, it's about the way you perceive the communication at the moment rather than the actual contents of the communication. Tell me about the Five of Swords, please. Oh fuck eyes. Chariot. This sort of confirms for me that that's what it is, because the Chariot card is all about self, and I'm talking about self with a capital S, right? It's about balancing your energies. It's about aligning yourself. It's about holding duality comfortably. But it tells me it's all about you and the way that you are seeing this situation, rather than potentially the way it actually exists in reality. Tell me about that. That's what I think it is. Man, you're thinking yourself into a hole, Scorpio, is what you're doing. Because you've got an urge to move forwards decisively, you know, victoriously in a very aligned state. But then you've got this full reversed. It's like you kind of like, you know, they're the same. Like whichever way up you put this particular pair of cards, there's wanting to move forwards, right? To be fair, there's a little bit more kind of force behind this one. A bit more direction, a bit more intent. This is kind of more of an ambling energy, but it's almost like you're kiboshing yourself because you're overthinking this situation as it is in front of you. Now you want to move forwards. You've got the Page of Pentacles. You've got this new start that you want. But this indecision around it, this illusion, this kind of like, do I trust this? Do I not? Am I making this up? It's all in your head, right? I've got the Ace of Wands, and that's a new start. Now that can be a new, it can be a new sexual relationship, 100%. But it can be just a case of finding your vigor again. It's finding the things that make you feel alive, and maybe this person has made you feel alive, and that's why you're kind of freaking out a little bit about it, you know? Tell me about this Ace of Wands. It's an impatience to move in some direction. Yeah. The Wand suit, like I said, is all about living in the moment. It's about the right here, right now. But sometimes that's not how things work, right? So you might be champing at the bit and wanting to get on with this new start, but actually because you don't really fully understand the other person's motivation or where they're coming from or what's going on, and you don't even know really how you want this new start to look, you don't trust the feelings that you're having in the first place. It's like, it's impatience that I'm seeing with this Ace of Wands more than anything. The Ace of Wands. Impatience about a relationship. Well, it doesn't have to be a romantic relationship, but to be honest, with the Two of Cups and the Ace of Wands together, like that's pretty exciting new relationship energy. It's come out with the King of Swords. It's like you need to kind of, the card that flipped in here while I was trying to get the cards out and I saw it was the Two of Pentacles, right? You need to kind of try and pull yourself into balance a little bit, because you're actually dragging yourself out of alignment now. That's absolutely not how you want to start anything new, right? You want to start with your wheels all pointing the right way and just going forwards like that. It's taking a step back from the emotional whirlpool that you're finding yourself in at the moment. Kind of look at the situation objectively. Maybe you are being asked to be patient, to kind of hang back a little bit and let the major forces represented by the major arcana that are underpinning here, like, let them do their thing, right? Nothing that is for you is going to go by you, but things that are not for you will not come to you no matter how impatient you are. one more card. Sun. Yeah, I'm going to take that as validation for what I've just said. We've got the Sun card, right? It's worth waiting for. And it's worth kind of unpicking yourself at the same time while you're waiting for this to happen. Now, the card that we've got for what's coming towards you in July is the Nine of Wands, which is interesting because that talks to me quite often about boundaries, right? Correct boundaries. And the fact that it's coming up here as a major thing for you, and it's underpinned by two major arcana cards, says to me, like, part of the reason why you are stuck at the moment, part of the reason why you're kind of here, there and everywhere in your own sort of mental space, and why this new start that you are quite desperate for is not happening, is because there is a little bit of work that needs to be done in you, just a little bit, before this can commence, right? It's talking about the need to check your own internal space and make sure that you are operating at the best possible level that you can be to invite this thing towards you, right? And part of that is good, sturdy boundaries, right? Boundaries for you so that you can keep yourself safe on this side of it, but also so that you don't go trampling over somebody else's, right? Because they might have things that they're dealing with at the moment, who knows? It's about mutual respect for those things. Now, you have been actually gifted a pause in order to kind of work out your feelings and look at things objectively and do a bit of work on yourself to make yourself the best version of yourself that you can be moving forwards. The reason that I say that is because the two cards that underpin are the Chariot again and Temperance. These are both cards that scream about energetic balance, that talk about alignment, right? Temperance specifically talks about patience and, you know, healing and all that kind of thing. Filling your own cup first, that's very important. Kind of letting all of these things find the right place inside you, you know? Things have been difficult for you this year, Scorpio, and there's been a lot of adjustment. There's been a lot of things kind of flying around and moving, and you haven't really known which way was up, you know, at various points. But your emotional state, you know, and how you are as a full, complete being on your own, completely outside of relationships, is the thing that needs looking at. Your boundaries and the boundaries of other people, right? Now, when this finally takes off, and it will, because I'm seeing lots of cards of alignment and balance and all that kind of thing, but also cards of new starts, like, you will be a shining version of yourself going forwards. You're not going to repeat patterns that have damaged you in the past, that wounded you in some way, and allowed you potentially to wound other people, right? Now is the time to do some work on yourself. If you're really serious about this, and I kind of feel like you are, because you're having a pretty strong emotional reaction to it, then ensure success by going about this in the most powerful way that you can. Scorpio, you are a very powerful sign. Fill your own cup first. Deal with your own shit first. You don't want to go into this new situation and immediately dump it onto somebody who looks like they could be very important to you. I'm going to pull one more card for you. Certainly in the month of July, this new start isn't quite there yet, right? Over the course of July, it's for you to work on yourself, pull all the bits of you, you know, apart that are kind of, and you're being shown what it is that you need to work on, because it's those things that are triggering you. It's those things that are making you feel anxious and feeling like you need to, like your automatic guards are kind of flying up and stuff. You're being pointed at where to look. Yeah, because we've got 8 of Swords and 5 of Wands, right? Internal conflict, internal self-sabotage, right? That if you do not do that work, this is what you're bringing to the table. This is what you're bringing to the new relationship, to this person who means, you know, presumably quite a lot to you. Certainly had a big effect on you in some way or another. And it requires you to be patient, not only with yourself, but also with them in some ways. We've got the 6 of Wands there, right? There's that card of victory. Like, you're in a space that is almost guaranteed, without doing the work, to end up in you sabotaging it, becoming, you know, at odds, conflicted with this person, conflicted internally, and ultimately not getting what you need out of the relationship. Now, everything that you need should be coming from you, right? It's not for your partner to provide those things for you. So these are the things that you need to look at, making yourself a whole, you know, integrated person as best you possibly can, so that when this person arrives, when this new star arrives that you're waiting for, it's all good, you know? So I'm going to leave it there. There is an extended. If you're interested and this has resonated, the link will be in the description box below. Thank you again for waiting for the readings. I know they're late. But if this is where we part ways, then that's all cool. And I'll see you in less than a couple of weeks for the mid-month readings. Right, take care.